Hello, lovely humans. Welcome back to another episode. I'm actually cutting in and doing a different intro here because somehow I lost the fancy audio for this week's podcast, but it was so wacky. And I had every intention of posting it last year before I went dark for Vlogmas and then like the 2 weeks off that turns into 5 weeks off that I typically give myself. And somewhere along the lines during that time, I ran out of room on my computer and must have deleted the audio. But this one's you guys are so great. that I couldn't not post it. So if the audio bugs you, I totally get it. Feel free to click on out of it. This is obviously not how we normally do things around here, but I didn't want to miss this episode. So without further ado, here goes a secondary intro.
Well, hello, lovely humans. Welcome back to another episode of Lovely Humans Club podcast. I'm wearing merch today, if you're watching the video version. If you're not, let me describe it to you. It's a sand-colored crew neck. Oversized, obviously, because there's no other way to wear a crew neck. With a vintage country sunset scene in a gorgeous blue color of a couple watching sunset on horseback over a mesa with the words forever and ever amen. If you didn't know, I have a merch line because I'm a wedding planner, YouTuber, and I wanted to make merch that like wasn't bridal because I feel like so many things during that season are super bride heavy, like that word is everywhere, it's pink or it's glittery or whatever. So I made this. And a lot of it says like Mr. or Mrs. or those kinds of things on it, or married till we're buried, just like things that you could wear in 10 years that would still be cool and not like the fast fashion bride stuff. So this one is cute because you don't even have to be in a relationship to wear it. It's just cute. So I'll leave that linked in the bio if you're interested at all. And then I'm gonna step off my self-promotional platform. But let me just tell you, this Gildan crew neck is so soft. I love this sand color too. I got some questions from you guys on Instagram the other day, and I was like, make it weird, and y'all showed up. But there are definitely some normal questions in here as well. It just was one of those like, yeah, let's get goofy with it. And so without further ado, you guys made me do this. If you could cut off any toe, which would you lose? I asked for it. I just wasn't anticipating that. Definitely not the pinky or the main, like the thumb toe. You know what I mean? You know the one. Because those are essential for balance. And I feel like the long one next to the thumb toe is also essential, so I'd probably go with one of the next two. What's your next homesteading challenge / skill to learn? This is a dear friend of mine who is also a homesteader. I don't have that on my list, Katie. I don't have something on my list that I want to learn. Probably should. Honestly, I really need to get compost going. Because I think about it every single year and I just don't. We even have a rabbit. Rabbit poop makes the best fertilizer for the garden and I'm not even harvesting it. Honestly, the garden is just like, I feel like it's a giant ode to just failure every time. Because we have poor quality soil and I'm not amending it, which I could be doing if I did fertilizer, but then, I don't. So thanks for calling me out on that, Katie. Maybe I just learned how to get things done. That's my next homestead skill I want to achieve. What's on your list for homesteading? If you could only pick one animal to have, what would it be? Dog. All day. Love dogs. I love dogs so much. Well, it explains why we have so many of them. When I moved out of my parents' house, one of the first things I did was get a dog, and that was Trixie. And if you guys have been around for a while, then you knew her. She was my soul dog, and I lost her tragically. I was not ready. I had her for 10 years. She was 11 years old. I think it was quick. But it was just really unfortunate. There's just something about dogs, man. Like, I love cats. I love kittens. I think kittens are the most fun baby animal. They're hilarious. I love watching them interact. I think puppies are kind of like bumbling idiots. But dogs, I don't think I'd live without. Now, when it comes to homestead animals, probably chickens. Just because they're so fascinating to watch. And they're relatively cheap to keep. But I do dream of the day that I get to have my own horse. I've wanted that for a really long time. And the two that we have are a little bit older, so the girls tend to do most of the riding on them. I don't really go out that much. Well, especially because Amelia has been so hard for so long, which I owe you guys an update on this. You guys, she started sleeping through the night. She's been really hard for a really long time. She's my hardest baby of all time. She's harder than the twins were. The twins slept through the night at like 8 weeks old on their own. Silas, I did cry it out at a certain point, and I will never do that again. I will die on that hill. It's just not something I want to do, and I actually regret doing that. He seems perfectly fine and healthy and happy and safe, but no ma'am, not for me. So knowing that, but also having this baby who was really, really difficult, who I would nurse to sleep and then she'd wake up on transfer and just start screaming, and then I'd be like, well, shoot, I'm screwed. Like, I sometimes it would take hours to put her down because she'd fall. Anyways, I kind of shot myself in the foot on that one by nursing her to sleep and not supporting her to sleep independently. But then I became afraid of trying to support her to sleep independently because I'd done it for so long that I was like, well, this is just my life now. And anytime she woke up, I'd have to nurse her back to sleep, or I chose to nurse her back to sleep. That's probably the more important phrasing here and the more accurate phrasing. Because one night, 3 weeks ago, and she's 18 months old now, she woke back up and I just about lost it. I was like, I can't do this. I can't. And I'm not in the room with her. I'm outside of the room. And I just pause. I breathe. I pray. I'm like, Lord God, can you just give me patience? Please. Please give me patience to deal with the situation. And I'm sitting there. We got the little video monitor. I don't want to hear about it. I got it. Okay. We literally have it just outside her room because I want to see if she's awake or if she's still napping. If she's awake and playing with her toys, I just let her stay in there for a while. It's totally fine by me. But also sometimes it's just really cute to watch her sleep. So I'm watching her and I'm praying because I'm like, this has been a long year and a half of this baby. And as I'm sitting there watching her, she picks up her blankie. She's obsessed with the tag, like the satiny tag. So I actually got her something that's like it's like a small security blanket that has the satin all the way around the edges. She picks it up and starts feeling it within her fingers, sticks her thumb in her mouth and lays down. And I was like, what is happening? What just happened? And falls asleep. She probably cried for 4 or 5 minutes. And I was like, I'm just going to stay out here till I feel like I have enough patience to go back in. And then she falls asleep. And I was like, Lord, you are a miracle worker. And then it dawned on me she's probably been capable of this for a while. But I was so against ever doing cry it out again that I didn't really want her to cry at all. I didn't really give her the opportunity to self-soothe at all. And we live in the way our house is set up, all of the bedrooms are on one end of the house and the hallway is really narrow, so everyone can hear the baby crying in the middle of the night. We sleep with box fans and whatever, but she could potentially wake everybody up. So I would always rush to go in there to try to get her back down so no one else would wake up, right? Turns out all homegirl needed was a little bit of crying, just a handful, to self-soothe, and she goes right to sleep. You guys have not nursed her to sleep since. It was like a switch flipped. Now if she wakes up in the middle of the night, she soothes herself, she goes right back down. So, I'll just say, if you're in the same boat that I'm in or was in, just try letting them cry for a few. Just a few, okay? We're not doing cry it out. You're not abandoning them. You're just letting them try. And also don't force that too early. I think that's why I regret it with Silas, is I don't think he was equipped emotionally. When you talk about, again, if you do cry it out, that's fine. But one of the big things they talk about is teaching them to self-soothe and be independent. They're a baby. They're not supposed to be independent as a baby. Maybe as a toddler they're starting to learn those things. So I think there's gray in this, and that's where I swung too far to the other side that I didn't acknowledge anything in between. So anyway, she's sleeping great now. Perfection. Sleeping through the night, every single night. I don't have to nurse her to sleep. She's not having false start bedtimes anymore, which is when they wake up 45 minutes into their sleep pattern and need to be soothed back to sleep. None of it. So I don't know how long she's been capable of this. Kind of wish I had tried it earlier, but here we are. So I went from sleeping like absolute garbage to now sleeping like a dream. But unfortunately, I'm going to be totally honest with you, unfortunately, I've developed some pretty bad habits of staying up late because I always wanted to catch her at that additional wake up time. So I didn't fall asleep and have to get up and go do that and then go back to sleep. So I'd be like, I'll just wait. I know she's going to wake up again. I'll get through that and then I'll go to sleep. Well, now she sleeps better, but I have not been great about going to bed when I should be going to bed. Any recent homeschool, quote, life skills stuff recently? Loved the grocery store lesson. We actually have not picked that back up since last year. What she's referring to is we went to the grocery store and I had the kids look at the price tag and figure out the cost per ounce on items, or figure out the math for the cost per ounce on items to make sure they're getting the best bang for their buck. And there's one moment where we were in front of the tortilla chips, and I was challenging them. I'm like, okay, which one is going to give us the most value for what we're spending? And this guy walks by and he's like, atta girl, mom, way to teach him. I wish they taught this stuff in school, because I didn't learn that in school. I didn't learn to read price tags like that. So we went through an adulting 101 style class, a couple of days where we focus on this, where we put together a $3,000 budget. Could they live off of $3,000 a month by looking at local apartment costs, what they would make on average, those kinds of things, to see how applicable is it in the real world, and did a hyper focus on budgeting for groceries. We are the exterior of the store shopping kind of family. We very rarely go down the middle of the store. We don't really get much from the freezer section unless it's frozen fruit. That's just how we choose to eat. We choose to shop the perimeter as much as possible. But I do have plans to walk through not only grocery shopping, but meal planning based off of that, and the value of different kinds of food, protein versus carbs versus sugars, how to prioritize those different things, and how satiated you'll feel after consuming those things. So while, a pound of chicken is probably going to cost a lot more than a pound of rice, which one is going to make you feel fuller longer? And how do we balance those to make sure that we're getting a well-balanced diet? Not food pyramid well-balanced, if you know, but actually okay. Actually balanced. But balanced in such a way that it's both affordable, helps you to feel full, and actually gives your body something to run off of for an extended period of time. So yeah, that's probably the next thing we'll do in our Adulting 101. And I think we still haven't finished the overall budgeting, so we'll probably come back to that one. If you could only remember one recipe for the rest of your life, what would it be? This is a fascinating question because I don't think I would want to remember a recipe. I'd want to remember flavor profiles. I feel like I'm in my stride with cooking recently, especially I just did the whole slew of Thanksgiving videos. If you missed those, I walked through 6 sides, 3 not traditional but very beautiful and very tasty, and then 3 traditional classic sides, and the turkey and the gravy, and all of my best tips, etc. But I feel like I'm really starting to understand flavor profiles. So for example, last night I made a ham and potato soup, and I didn't even do it based off of a recipe. Obviously I've made it before, but learning how to get the exact flavor profile that you want, I think has been the most fun about the cooking journey recently. Salt, fat, acid, heat. I'm sure you've heard of it, or if you haven't, there's a chef who actually wrote a book about it, had a show about it, I believe. I forget what her name is. But those are 4 integral components to a dish. So does it need a little lemon juice? Does it need a little salt? Does it need a little heat from black pepper or some sort of Tabasco? And I've actually started paying attention to what parts of my tongue light up when I'm eating something. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's the sweet is at certain point that I need to look this. Oh gosh. Tongue flavor map. Wait, this is a misconception? What? The tongue map or taste map is a common misconception that different sections of the tongue are exclusively responsible for different basic tastes. How is that? Wait, how is this not true? I thought it was totally true. Wikipedia says it's not, but it looks a little something like this. If you're watching the video version. If not, I'll go ahead and describe it to you. It's where you taste bitterness at the back of your tongue, sour on the sides, salty on the front sides, and sweet at the tip of your tongue. And then apparently umami in the center. So as I'm tasting things, I can tell. See, this is why I don't think it's a misconception, because I feel like the different areas of my tongue are ooh, I tasted that. Is anyone else like that? Okay, back to the original question. Is there anything that one recipe for the rest of my life? I mean, to keep with the spirit of your question, it would be garlic mashed potatoes. They're my favorite. I made them in the Thanksgiving series. You should absolutely check those out. And it's also my Thanksgiving meal planner. It's probably my favorite recipe that I make. And it's also super forgiving, and it's also really flexible. So if I forgot every single other recipe, and that's the only one was left, I'd be really glad for that. But instead, the growth that I've had recently, what I'm really grateful that I'm learning about, is flavor profiles. So I've started to use a lot of Worcestershire sauce, a lot of soy sauce in unexpected ways. Lemon juice is a real key ingredient for me. Of course, tons of garlic. The right kind of salt. So we have Redmond salt and then a really high quality sea salt. Fresh cracked black pepper as opposed to already ground pepper. Totally different flavor profile. It's crazy. So yeah, I think it's learning more the how and not a specific set of instructions, because I can follow a recipe, but if it ends up not tasting good and I don't know how to fix it, well then that sounds like a fail in my book. Oh, here's a random one. What's the stuff called that you use to make your tooth? Hopefully that makes sense. Yes, it does. If you missed it, I have a fake tooth. No, I'm not going to tell you which one, and now I'm going to talk like this so you're not going to look at it if you're watching the video version of this. I use something called temp tooth. They're little plastic beads that you heat up in hot water and then mold to fit where the tooth is supposed to go. And this is my hack to making it look as realistic as possible. I take a fake, a press-on nail and use it, and I will press the beads. So I'll place the beads in the gap and press the beads up against the underside of the fake nail to give it a rounded appearance. Because when I did it before, which is my thumb, it would leave or a finger, it would leave a fingerprint on the face of it, which would annoy me because I could feel the grooves, and then doesn't look as genuine or authentic. So if you are like me and you're missing a tooth, I highly recommend Temp Tooth, and it is absolutely worth it to buy a set of, these are just clear fake nails. I use the pinky size for my particular tooth for this location, and then just press it into it, and then just kind of round out the bottom, and it looks super, super natural. Of course, one day I would love to have an implant put in and to not be doing this anymore, but until then, it's a great solution. I know there's a bunch of different tooth options out there. I've used a couple of them, and Temp Tooth by far is my favorite. And if you're like, this is not the kind of content I was expecting today, well, next time I ask for Q&A cues, you can get in there, ask something weird too. Favorite TV show? I am rewatching Gilmore Girls with the girls, and I gotta tell you, it is still just as good second time around, or third, fourth time. It's still good. It's still good. So that's gotta be top up there. I can't think of anything else that I watched a lot of Friends. Ooh, you want to know what was underrated that I was really obsessed with when I was younger? Alias. Jennifer Garner stole my heart in that TV show. I thought she was so cool. Back when we used to like buy episodes off of iTunes, I think I bought like all 5 seasons or whatever with my hard-earned money when I was young. I was like, I could love this show. So I was obsessed with that. And then of course, Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman was another big one. That was a little bit earlier. Is there a current TV show that I really, really like? We watched Bad Monkey. That's on Apple TV Plus. That was good. Oh, I love MasterChef. I don't care if it's the adults. I don't care if it's MasterChef Junior. I'm a huge Gordon Ramsay fan. So basically anything he puts out, I'm like, what's this? Oh, it's got Gordon Ramsay in it? I'll watch. And in conjunction with that, favorite movie. Oh, you guys know I love the Harry Potter series. It just feels like home. Every year we try to rewatch all of the movies. I don't actually know if we've done that this year. I think we've only watched like 2 or 3 of them. Outside of that, Pride and Prejudice, the new one, the Keira Knightley version. A dream. I don't want to sit down and watch the original. No, absolutely not. The cinematography of the second one, unparalleled. There's one part in the movie where it's all one take, no cuts, and it's just this like, and the hand flex. You cannot get that in the original. You do not get that in the original. I will fight people on this. We'll die on this hill. Even my husband's like, the original's better. No, it's not. You don't even like romantic movies. You've never even read the book. Get out of here. You want to capture the spirit of Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy? Keira Knightley version. And then, honestly, any Nancy Meyers film, because every single home in Nancy Meyers films always looks beautifully curated and warm and inviting. That's where my mom got the low light trick, like having little lamps all over the place. If you go watch a Nancy Meyers film, which is like The Holiday, Something's Gotta Give, Father of the Bride, there's tiny lights everywhere. There's never, like, they very rarely use the big lights in these kind of, it's all natural lighting or all little lights around the house. And her kitchens are always so inviting. So I love those movies because of how warm and cozy they feel and look. Are there any new or fun, exciting home projects you guys are planning or doing? Not currently. If you missed the episode with Elias, he kind of dived in, we both dove into his health journey and what's going on with him. He has crippling fatigue. Like unbelievably, really, really bad crippling fatigue. To the point where he often goes to bed at the same time that the girls do. He just checks out. He now sleeps with a CPAP. We are also starting him on medication to help with his low testosterone levels. So right now we are just surviving. We're just getting through. It's about to be a really crazy, really hectic season with Vlogmas coming up and with the holidays. So 0 expectations. We're not planning anything. Nothing's happening. Do I have ideas? Yes. I want to put 2 French doors at the back of the house, one where the existing back door is and the other where the current window is, and have those open into the backyard. I would love to have a back patio, right? I want to get a couple of club chairs because my husband's gotten really into cigars recently. And so when he has friends over, when he has guys over, I want them to have club chairs that they can hang out at with a coffee table in between them. We also have a fire pit. I would love to kind of build that out a little bit, make it a little bit more structured. I really want to invest in the backyard. I think that would be super, super fun. And also, when funds allow it, we are putting a big old fence on the front of our property. Just the whole length of the front of the property. It'll keep all the animals in. We don't have to worry about that any longer. That is something that we desperately need. So that's on the cards. 1, we've got the finances, and 2, we are outsourcing that. So Elias is not doing it. Do I have more plans for the rest of the house? You bet your bottom dollar I do. I already have the paint color picked out for my master bedroom, but I just don't have the time or the energy, especially if I'm doing it solo. But now the baby's sleeping, and now that the weather's cooling off, maybe I'll reconsider some of that. Because when I show you this bedroom color idea, y'all are gonna die. I love it so much. So that's what we have for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. I love the random ones. I know you guys love them too. It's so fun to just sit down and, go through which toe I'd like to lose. If you haven't done so already, wherever you're listening to this, go give it a 5-star review if you've enjoyed it. I really, really appreciate it. And until next week, bye guys.